Welcome everyone. This is another video, this lecture series on advertising. This is the last video in lesson number 2. This is part 3 and we will be discussing in this video on measuring brand equity. Now, in order to determine the equity or the brand value in the context and in the perspective of our target audience, we have to determine first, are the people or your target customers and target audiences are loyal to the brand. Now, when we speak of brand loyalty, this is the consumer's expressed action or an overt act of which they purchase only one brand and they consider no other choice regardless of price differences. If you look at Apple Corporation, during the release of iPhones, you can immediately determine that people actually have some sense of brand loyalty. It's because price would not matter. You are seeing people lining on an Apple store waiting for the store to open just in order to purchase a brand new phone from Apple, and that is an expression of brand loyalty. Next, we have brand equity. Now, brand equity is a phrase used in marketing industry to refer to the perceived worth of a particular brand. Now, brand equity can actually be formed through or different determinants of marketing itself. Now, we will begin with brand awareness. Now, brand awareness is a status by which your target audience knows about your brand and the identity of your brand. Brand association is a perception in the eyes or in the mind of our target audience, our target customers, about the identity of your product and easily associate what that identity is. Let's say, for example, your logo is flashed on the screen. Automatically, your target audience would recognize that it is your brand and it is the symbol of whatever it is that your brand is all about. Perceived quality, how quality is adopted and embraced within your perspective and in the perspective of your customers. Do they think that you are embracing quality at that particular instance? Brand experience, how do customers and consumers experience the brand? Brand preference, are you preferred between other competing brands? Next is brand loyalty, of course, as we have just discussed a while ago. Next is measurement of brand equity. First, we have financial value, stock market value, revenue premium or price premium, and consumer value. Now, when we speak of financial value, this is the estimate of the future cash flows of a brand based on its unique strength and characteristic. How profitable is that particular brand? How do we measure brand equity or brand value at that particular point? Of course, we have to go back with a very basic determinant of value, and that is finances. How profitable, how much money would probably flow within the company in the next few moments or in the next few months. Next is stock market approach. When the stock market approach, the financial value of the company is determined through stock valuation. Now we have New York Stock Exchange, we have Philippine Stock Exchange, we have Nikkei Stock Exchange in Japan, and there are a lot of stock markets in the world of which your value in the stock market is subtracted with your physical asset. And the remaining portion of your market value is the stock market value of your brand. Next is revenue premium. Now, revenue premium, or in other instance, we call this price premium, compares a branded product to the same product without a brand. And so if you have a generic paracetamol and a branded paracetamol, there is a considerable difference in their price. And so that difference is called the revenue premium or the price premium. In effect, that is the value of the brand. Next is consumer value. This is the final method. Consumer value attempts to assess the value of the brand based on the input from the customers. Typical measures include familiarity, quality, purchase consideration, customer satisfaction, and the willingness to seek out that particular brand. Now, this is one of the trickiest way of determining value of a particular brand because there is physical impossibility to determine exactly how much is the value of the brand in this particular context. Although we can observe that your customers are loyal because they keep on coming back and they prefer your brand over other brands, but there is no actual calculation of which we can explicitly determine the value of your brand solely because of determining the consumer's perspective on your value. But nevertheless, consumer value is still considered to be one of the most significant valuation of a brand because at the end of the day, it's the consumer and the customers that matters. And so that's the reason why consumer value is still a good way of valuing brands. Next is we have packaging. Now, a packaging is a container which represent the final opportunity to make an impression on the consumers or the customers. Packaging constitute a marketing activity as much as a television advertising and social media. Market surveys reveal that only 31% of purchases are planned prior to reaching a retail outlet. This means that 69% of consumers make purchase decision while in store. And so how attractive is your packaging would definitely affect how a consumer decide on what brand to purchase. And so that's the reason why there are instances in the past, probably by your experience, I have also experienced this one, wherein I went directly into the store and I was captivated by how packaging was kind of a premium package. And so that's the reason why I purchased the particular product, even though in the first place I don't need it. But I was convinced because the product feels like a premium brand through its packaging. And so that's the reason why companies, corporations have to invest in packaging, especially dealing with electronic products. Electronic products requires that your packaging must be able to protect the product itself. So what are the primary purposes of packaging? First is to protect the product. So the package must protect the product from any intrusion or damage at that particular instance. Next is provide ease of shipping and handling. It should be easy to ship and handle. Provide easy placement on shelves. And so if you are selling products which are related to foods and beverages, it must be easy to place on shelves in any retail outlet. Next is to prevent or reduce theft. It should be quite at some particular point difficult to steal. Next is prevent tampering, such as drugs and foods. So your package must have security features to prevent tampering. Next is meet customers' need for speed, convenience, and portability. It should be easy for the customer to consume your product. It will be convenient for your customers, and it is portable as much as possible. It is handy and easy to carry, and that is a positive side of your product packaging. Next is communicate marketing message. Now, how do we communicate marketing message through our package? We need to put up labels. Labels on packages serve several functions. First, they must meet legal requirements. This includes identifying product contained in the package and in any other specific information about the content, such as nutritional information on the food. The Food and Drug Administration regulates food labels in the Philippines. Many companies print warranties and guarantees also in the product label, including directions on how to use, what are the do's and the don'ts of that particular product, the expiration date, of course, that is very important, and it should be designed well so that it would convince at some point the customers to purchase your product. And so, in creating labels, you must follow these particular guidelines for effective product label designing. Number one is keep it simple and clean. As much as possible, your product label or your package label should be simple and clean. Next is you have to use color wisely. Select the right font. Pick unusual shape. Keep consistent with the brand. Of course, your colors must be consistent with the brand. You have to match the package to your brand. Let's say, for example, your brand is a brand that relates to nature and the preservation of the environment, and so the probability is you will use green color with nature within the sense of your package. Find unique feature and print directly to the container. As much as possible, you have to print it directly to the container. Now, if you are using bottles, you have to print it directly to the bottles. And then the last one is ethical issues in branding. Now, brand infringement occurs when a company created a brand name that is closely resembled to a popular or successful brand. I think you are very much familiar with this particular picture you're seeing right now in your screen. This is an example of brand infringement, of which this is almost perfectly identical to 7-Eleven or Philippine 7 Corporation in the Philippines, and only the spelling of Evelyn was changed instead of 11. And because of that, since it closely resembles to a popular or a successful brand, which in this case 7-Eleven, that is the reason why it infringes the identity of a popular brand. Now, there are a lot of safeguards with this in order to protect your brand under the law. There are laws in the Philippines and even in the United States that actually protects brands from being copied, because this will actually destroy the identity and the credibility of the brand itself. And so you have to protect your brand, most especially like this, of which the popular brand have spent billions of dollars in order to inculcate and educate the target audience about the brand, and have invested so much in order to create brand awareness, and yet copied so easily in this kind of strategy. There is also another example in the ethical issues of branding, and that is cyber squatting. Now, cyber squatting or domain squatting is a method where websites and domains are used in such a way that it misleads the consumers from the real intent of the consumers by merely changing the simple spelling of the website's name. Let's say, for example, instead of LeBron James, they change to James LeBron. Or let's say, for example, Amazon, they change it to Amazon. Or let's say Alibaba, Alibubu. There are a lot of bad people right there who will exploit these particular aspects of branding. And so that is an unethical strategy, although there are people who are still continuously using that particular strategy, and I think that is not in any manner tolerable, because these companies have actually spent so much time, money, and effort just and in order to create brand awareness for their target audience. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next lesson.